Hey guys, what's going on? Just wanted to jump on here and do some live charting, kind of share what I've been working on. It's been pretty interesting. It's been actually pretty good couple weeks in February. I was going to do a February challenge, but I got kind of situated into trying to do a new strategy a little bit. So I've been working on that. So it kind of negated the reason for me to go and do a February challenge. So apologize for that, but we will be doing a challenge. I think with this new strategy, it'll be actually a little bit more exciting. The new strategy is a way for me to grow my account, my full account, by a certain percentage every day, which is allowing me to hit some pretty cool gains. So I'm going to be sharing more about that eventually. But today we can just get on here and do some charting on TradingView, kind of look over everything that I've been kind of going over, and share a little bit. Actually, just closed out a trade. I'm going to log that real quick. So what's up? All right. So we've got. So basically, I log all of my trades, no matter what's going on. I want to know how much money I made on it, what I was trading, what strategy, what my account growth is, and I like to track all my wins and losses. So the cool thing about this new strategy is that it's got a very high win rate, which typically will mean that the gains are smaller per trade, but over time they compound pretty quickly. So I am seeing some really cool gains on the account as far as percentage percentage on the account per trade. So my goal right now, without sharing too much, is to get anywhere between 2 and 5% a day, just to kind of grow with the account and kind of prove that it's working. So we'll see how that goes. So let me just finish up setting this up. I'm going to go ahead and jump into another trade real quick. I don't have the sharing on that screen, but I'll show you on this TradingView chart that I'm in here. I'll show that to you momentarily. All right, so we can. So this new strategy, it has like a calculator to it, so I can easily put in my amounts and how much my risk is and everything. So it's pretty nice there, but it does take a few minutes to just set up and plug everything in and get the trade going. So that's what I'm doing right now while we're sitting here. And I may edit some of this out later. We'll see. But I didn't want to go live. I don't think I'm there yet, as far as the YouTube is concerned. But I wanted to kind of just record, kind of in the day, intraday, what I'm doing at the computer when I'm doing it, and, see what kind of comes out of it. So hopefully this will be out and you guys will enjoy it. So for crypto, I do trade on Bybit, and it has some pretty cool tools that for the type of trade that I'm doing, I'm entering multiple limits and multiple trades at the same time. or multiple limits at the same time, I should say. So, but being able to go on here and just move around my limit orders and just kind of put them directly into Bybit without having to go through, multiple stages makes it pretty convenient. So, very cool there. Let's see. All right. All right, so we are all set up there. I'm going to let that go. Switch back over here to TradingView and kind of go over what I've been looking at. So basically everything that I'm really kind of working on, it used to start on TradingView, and I would just kind of get an overall big picture of what's going on. These trend lines here, I was looking at a potential reversal. So in a reversal, you basically will get, 3 triangle looking shapes. So you're going to get one peak, 2 peaks, and then a third peak slightly lower. So it's kind of going to look like this. And then if it's a down, if we're talking about when you're in a downtrend and it's reversed an uptrend, you'll see a slightly inverted version of that. So this is kind of the pattern. And again, I don't trade patterns, but in all essence of TA, you're going to see these patterns in the different strategies. So I don't recognize just this pattern in general. Excuse me here for a second, but if you let me trash that. So if you're looking at any of these waves at any timeline, you're going to start recognizing triangles here, right? So here's 1, 2, 3. And again, they don't follow the rules. So I guess you could say, well, that's not true, truly a reversal. But, that's why I don't trade patterns. It's just so easy to find patterns in everything. So here's something that kind of looks similar. So you have the triangle pattern here, slightly higher and slightly lower, and then it starts its reversal there. So that's kind of what you're looking at in so many words. And again, I'm not here to teach the strategy, just kind of here to show how I go about it and kind of give really a solid look of what it looks like to try to be trading and day trading. It's not always the most glamorous of things to do, which I'm learning. So I've been in this for 2 months now, and it's all a learning experience. This could fail immediately, and it would be okay. It's just a learning experience. It's something for me to spend my side time on. I do have other things that I do full time throughout the week. So being able to get on here and do this and kind of show myself a different skill that could come in handy. Maybe this works out where I can do this in a full-time manner or in a very significant manner. But for now, just learning, keeping track of what I'm learning, when I'm learning it, and how the money comes along. So I'm kind of looking at my trade over here, but back to the trading view. So the reason I was on this 15-minute chart, so I was looking at this trend upwards, kind of an Elliott wave looking. I didn't truly find the Elliott wave in it. But my curiosity was that, or my theory was that we were going to come up, we hit our 5 of the Elliott wave, and then we would come down, hit this trend line of the 3, and then put my entry up here somewhere off this trend line. So I never really retraced back there, so I never got into that trade, but that was something that I was looking for. And this was on Sol. But yeah, you can go to some of the other, I keep a list of my crypto coins that I like to look at. I keep those over here, and that way I can just switch to them quickly. The thing about crypto I'm noticing is that they tend to kind of go together. Some of them are inverted to each other or in relation to each other. But for what I mean, Bitcoin goes up, then Solana is going to go up, and Ethereum is going to go up. Bitcoin goes down, and you're going to see Ethereum go down, and you're going to see Solana go down, and some of these other coins. So trying to pick your pairs, your coin pairs, is kind of remembering that everything kind of flows in motion. Now, it doesn't always correlate one for one. You could see a huge pump in Bitcoin and then not see that in something like Solana, or vice versa. You could see a huge pump in Solana, but Bitcoin relatively, it still pumps, but it doesn't pump at quite the rate that Solana did. So that's something that I look out for. So here I'm just looking at Gala. Looks like we're in a little bit of a downtrend on a 15-minute. And what I mean by that downtrend, you'll see here's the high, and we kind of do that line. Here's the low, and we would actually like copy it or bring it down to show the trend line. But just for these purposes, I'll just go ahead and make it quickly. So what we're looking for. What we're looking for when we're looking at a trend is we have, our high here. We have a lower high here. And then for the lows, we have a lower low. Well, we have a low right here compared to this high. But what we'd be looking for in this instance would be some sort of low down here. And we pull our Fibonacci tools out, and we'd kind of look for what levels that the price action is hitting. But, in a trend, we like to see 4 points. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't trade Gala that much, but this is a pretty good looking channel that I've seen so far. And we are overall in a downtrend. You can see that the trend is going down, even though we had this range break back to the upside. It's still a lower high than previous, right? And I could be looking at too small of a picture here. So let me pull this up. Yeah. So when you're on the 15-minute, again, it just depends on what your strategy is. But, looking at this trend line there, and really I think I should start that on the bottom. Let's say we're here. Let's just copy that up here. So if that's the case, you can see we've got, our one touch point there, 2, 3 down here. So maybe I wouldn't take anything in this trade unless I was just really focused on this small channel. And that's the thing is just looking at a certain portion of price trend. If you're just looking at this, that does look really good. It looks kind of exactly how you'd want it to look in that sense. But zooming out and kind of looking at the overall picture, and the more you zoom out, you can almost see that we're kind of just ranging here in this area. We're not really making a lot of movement, which can be a big deal sometimes. So if we were to switch to for instance, the 1 hour, right? You can see that overall we're actually moving up, right? And we went from some very low price action, and then we just got up here and got some very big volatility. So going up, going up, going up. We're not really reversing yet, I would say. I would say that we're kind of ranging. And what I mean by that is kind of, if we were to take like a rectangle here and just put it there, you can kind of see that we're just up in this range, not really doing a lot. You can kind of see maybe a little bit of a reversal, but this could easily just pop right there and then move to the upside. But could easily, come straight down. And that's the difficulty about trading. Maybe somebody that more experienced could show why these different things happen or how they happen. But what I've learned really is that the market or humans follow certain patterns and sentiment. So when you're looking at this price action, this is basically human interaction with the markets, right? So as it's going up, the price action is going up, the coin is becoming more valuable and people are willing to pay more money for it, right? So as it hits these levels, then the sentiment in the market becomes, okay, well, we're in an uptrend. I want to buy now before it gets to its high, whatever that might be. So then more people buy, more people buy, more people buy. So then we hit this area here and we think, okay, well, maybe that's the height of the market. So then human emotion plays into it and they're like, okay, well, I think this might be the highest. We're going to go down now. So then people start selling, right? And then as people start selling, other people start selling. Well, then people think that there's a dip in the market. So they start buying and they start buying. So that's where you see this price action, right? And it's all based on human emotion. Now, of course, this is my understanding at this level of my career, but, or the level of this kind of challenge, whatever you want to call it, experience. But there's also these big market maker big industry moves where you'll have companies that are trading and buying and selling. And sometimes they're just buying because maybe their internal formulas for their book of business says, hey, we're not going to own more than 2% of crypto or whatever. So then when the valuation gets more than 2% of their portfolio, automatically they're selling, right? So all of these things go into play as far as price action goes, and it's kind of very interesting how it works. And that's super macro level conversations that obviously I don't know much about, but understanding the basics of that really helps you kind of determine what you want to do in the market here. So here's looking at Ethereum. So Ethereum and Bitcoin basically give you kind of a really good view of overall what all these other coins are doing, like I kind of mentioned earlier. And you can see a lot of these coins will have the same shape, right? Like we'll look at Bitcoin and Ethereum, and they almost look identical. Of course, they're not. But yeah, and you can see like you just never know what's going to happen when you're ranging, right? So if we take an area and we look at this area right here, this is kind of a range, right? Staying in the same area, consolidating or supply zone or resistance, whatever you want to call it. So we're in this zone, and then you can see we shot up, we made a new high. So you'd think, okay, well, that happens pretty often, right? So we're in a supply zone or resistance level, supply zone, whatever this is, and it shoots up. Well, then you get into this level. And as a trader, the psychology of it, you're like, okay, here we go. We've been here before. We're in this area. We're going to go up again. And look, it shot right back down. So that's why they say, I mean, your instincts are never really going to get you far in trading, especially early on. Because the market's going to do what it's going to do, and it's not really going to repeat the same pattern every single time. So if you want to look at this area, let me circle this area. Excuse me. So these two areas look very similar. So similar in size, similar in range, just kind of how far they're moving. So the next guess would be what? That we would be coming down like we did here, or we're going to go up like we did here. So again, the reason I'm kind of saying that is just the market does what it's going to do. It doesn't necessarily follow the same rules every time. I think the trick is to put as many confluences as you need in a specific strategy and then get very good at that strategy. That way you know, okay, majority of the time, 40% of the time, 60% of the time, 30% of the time, it does this. And then knowing that, that's where you can place your trade, right? So you're trading or you're betting with or against the market. And if you're right, you make money. So learning how to look at these zones, look at these areas of price action and recognize typically what something where price action would do is where traders make their money. And a lot of strategies go off different things. You know, there's some people that just make money basically saying that price action always reverts to a mean or an average. So what that means is no matter how high the price goes, it's always going to come down and hit its average. And that's where you can get some of these moving averages, these lines that you see here, the green, the red. These lines are moving averages. So the 20-day moving average, the 50-day moving average, and the 200-day moving average. So people will trade certain moving averages to say, okay, no matter how high it goes, right? And you can see that we made a high here, and the distance to the 200-day moving average is very different, right? It's a large distance. So what people will trade sometimes is that they know that this high, this price action is going to come back down at some point to hit this 200-day moving average, right? And you can kind of see that back through here, right? We went high, came down, crossed over the 200-day moving average, came low, back to the 200-day, right? And you kind of see that pattern repeat itself. Here we get really low, even off screen here. And then it comes back to the moving average. High, comes back to moving average. So some people make a living just based on that information there. Again, that's not the strategy that I use. It's probably a little bit more advanced. I could probably keep up with. I'll share a little bit of the strategy that I've been learning and kind of been using. So without giving too much away, because again, I don't believe in just giving information away from other educators. I just think that's kind of wrong. So basically what I am doing is some version of dollar cost averaging, right? So as prices going down, say that I want to see the price go down, so I set up a short position, right? So in my old strategy, I would try to make this ratio around 3 or 4 so that I was always risking 1 to gain 3 or 4 units. So risk $10 to gain $40, basically. So the new strategy is, and this strategy does work, this 3 to 4 ratio, because the certain strategy that you're using to set up this trade, meaning that you've seen confluences, you've seen trend lines, you've seen everything go the way you want, not just randomly putting short, you know that a certain percentage of the time you're going to be correct. So when you're risking 1 to 4, for every 4 times you're wrong and 1 right, you've basically broken even. So you can be wrong a lot more than you're right and still make money in that essence. The new strategy that I'm working on is basically saying, okay, what if we're wrong here? What if we come down a little bit, doesn't do much, and then it comes back up? Comes up, hits our stop loss, and then comes down. What if something like that happens, right? So the new strategy is basically setting up a trade like I normally would with one of my strategies that I've learned, where I believe, okay, this price action is going to go down, but I also put some dollar cost averaging limits as I'm up here at certain levels, to where if I come down and I hit my stop loss, I actually trigger another limit order. So now I'm doubling down on the trade almost. But the average between this area and this area is right here. So now my limit order is here, and then when I go down, I'm still hitting my profit. So that's in essence, what I'm working on learning. And again, hopefully I didn't give off too much there. I don't think I did. It's kind of reliant on having all the principles and calculator and everything that we have in our system. And again, for anybody that wants to know, I follow the Inevitrade system. A guy named Craig Percoco is on YouTube. You can look him up. I don't have any kind of links with him. Maybe I should. But if you're interested in learning kind of the same stuff that I'm learning, feel free to go check him out. He's honestly pretty cool. And his team of people in his Discord and his team of traders and experts, they are pretty interesting as well. So I like those guys. So kind of just checking out my other trade. I've got a couple screens here, so if I'm looking away for a little bit, that's why. So I've been kind of thinking, really what I'm doing this YouTube for. And again, I mean, just to explain, I do have a business that I own that I work on. It's very small. It's startup. So it's not fully grown yet where I can put all of my attention. I basically run out of things to do. I've got some customers. I look out for new customers. So again, I put a pretty large amount of my time grinding out that business, but sometimes you have to have other things. So what I decided in that, and I guess I should say that I dropped off another 70% of my load of workload. I left. I'm not doing that anymore. So I opened up some time. So basically, I wanted to experiment with day trading, and I also wanted to experience with YouTube, hence the videos. So I've never considered myself, big personality as far as that goes, but in my eyes, the world's changing, and you see these people out there on YouTube and on social media in general that are making a living for their family, and they're doing some awesome things. So I felt like I was kind of letting myself and letting my people down if I didn't at least explore it a bit to see kind of how it works out, how it works. So that's what I did. I took trading, something I'm learning, and I took the YouTube and the social media aspect of it, and I'm learning that as well. And again, this may come to nothing but an experience, and maybe an experience I can share with my kids further down the line, or at least know a little bit about this to where I can understand what kind of things they're talking about and kind of things that are going on in the world. So again, overall, this isn't necessarily to make me rich. Be cool if it did, but it's really just an experience. So we'll see what happens. And then some of my friends and my family watched this, so they're probably thinking I'm crazy and nuts, which is cool because I probably am. But it'd be cool to be down the road a little bit and be able to say that this pays for a family vacation or something. Who knows? That would be awesome. So to further go into that, I've been curious while I'm doing the trading, while I'm learning it, which is a full-time job in itself, while I'm learning the YouTube, which is also just learning the algorithm and when to post and why I get views and why I don't. It's crazy. But by the way, subscribe to the channel so I can keep doing this. But I didn't know what my niche would be. So I don't think anybody wants to get on here and just see a new trader just suck or be terrible. Maybe they do. Maybe that's entertaining. But my goal was to get on there and try to come up with a niche. So I think where I'm kind of leaning to is some form of staying in that beginner mindset, but also sharing with other beginners. I think what happens in life in general is that when you're new to something and you're learning, you're going to have all of these very basic questions, call them redundant questions, call it just basic knowledge of a certain thing. So take it for trading. There were so many questions I had, like, okay, so how do I practice charting? Okay, awesome. Once I learned how to do that, which was TradingView, right? And I do have a link to TradingView, so you can check that out. But get on TradingView. Okay, so now what's next? Now I'm looking at TradingView. How do I actually make a trade? Oh, well, for crypto, you would use this exchange or that exchange. Okay, well, how do I put crypto onto the exchange, right? So there's all these very basic questions that just get asked a million times over. So if you go into a Discord or you follow a training or a course or a seminar or anything on trading, they're probably going to go over some of this stuff, some of the basic stuff. But what if you're just a beginner and you want to know all of this beginning stuff before you make a decision on which direction you want to take, right? Oh, do I want to go with this educator, or do I want to follow this strategy, or do I just want to learn on my own? But where can I get the beginning information? That is, excuse me for that, but where can I get the beginning information that just helps me kind of learn this basic stuff? So I think that's what I should do because I'm so new to it and I'm so fresh, and I don't need to be super educated to share the new stuff that I'm learning, right? Once you figure out TradingView, you can tell people about TradingView, right? Or once you learn what a trend line is, you can tell people what a trend line is. So that's, I think, the direction I'm going to go. And I think it would be very prudent for others that, hey, I'm kind of on the fence. I want to learn about trading, but I don't know if I want to jump in. Well, let me follow Todd, right? Let me find out kind of some of the ins and outs. What's it look like? What are the realities of it? Don't just sell me a course that is going to charge me $400, $500, $2,000 to learn something that I have no clue how to do and end up losing more money, right? So how about some beginner stuff that lets you kind of peel back some layers, see if this is right for you or not, and before you make those decisions. I think that would be valuable. So I think that's what I'm going to lean into. Again, I think my goal is just to help beginners, and I think how I'm going to do that is by showing my journey here. I think that's important. So people will see kind of what it looks like. It's not glamorous. You're not making $5,000 a day off the rip. You're not. You are losing money. You're going to lose trades, and it's going to be disappointing, and people are going to look at you disappointed because you're losing. Why are you losing? But you do. And so teaching that and showing that on this platform would be pretty interesting for me. And I think the second way I'm going to do that is I think I would create my own Discord, which is, basically one big chat room, if you will, of a community of beginners that can help each other out, right? So as they're kind of branching out into each of their own journeys, they can come back and kind of share what they're learning for other beginners that might be following the same track. So we'll see. I mean, that's the idea. I think it could be something cool. And again, I think protecting some people that are coming on here to really try to make it, because you'd be surprised. There's these traders, they come in, or these people that come in, they want to be a trader, they want to provide for their family, or they're in college and they need to make extra money. Whatever it may be, they get in and they learn something, and then they go practice it, and then they work on it, and then they go into an exchange and start trading, and they lose their money. And it's sad because it's just, look, that's going to happen. You're going to lose money. This isn't a magic key where you take $20 and you make $500 and you go on and with your day. Unfortunately, I just don't think it works like that. Just like anything, it can, right? You can go bet on some team, or you can bet on a golfer to win a match and win yourself $500 off of a $20 bill. But I just don't think it's what's going to happen for most of us, right? So anyways, that's where I'm heading with this. I think that'll be interesting for kind of people to see, and maybe I'll help somebody else. Because as a beginner myself, I've already made some mistakes. Luckily, I kind of do a lot of research before I make decisions. So some of the mistakes I've made have been kind of minor. Haven't really lost a lot of money. I'm probably positive at this point, which is probably pretty rare. But again, I think sharing my experience may help others. So that's why I'm here. That's what I'm doing. So we're on the 1 hour. I'll switch back over to 15 minutes so you can kind of see where we're at. So again, looking at price action through the day, the goal is to kind of look for your setups, which a setup is in so many terms, it's a way of saying, okay, price action has done this, 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 and this. The next thing it's going to do is probably this, based on what you've learned and what your strategy is. So you're not always going to be right, but that's what you're looking for. So I'll give you one here. So a lot of people, and this may be the underside, but a lot of people do basically trend analysis, right? So they set up their trend lines. Excuse me, sorry. So they set up their trend lines. And the most basic strategy that people are looking for is they want to see a break of this trend line. And they want to see when that happens, they want to bet with what's going to happen. So if the price action, and this is just, again, you have to know your setups before you can do this, but you're looking at this trend, you're like, okay, it's following this trend down here. It's hit here, well, almost hit here, and then it's hit here. So in this trend here, it's following the same pattern. So what some traders will do is they'll look for the break of the trend, right? So maybe say that's here, or maybe the next candle. And once it comes down to a certain level, that's where they're going to put in their trade, right? So we can do that here. So they'll say, okay, it's broken the trend. So I am betting, or saying that it's going to break the trend and it's going to continue down. Oops. I back up. So that would be the trade, right? So that would be one strategy. If you were doing kind of a trend-based strategy, you'd want it to break out, come down, do a little wiggle wobble, maybe even retest this trend and then continue down. So green obviously being profit. And then the flip side of that, as you're doing this, they're looking at this line here. And again, the reason my line's up here and not here is because of this new high. But say you were in this here and you see this candle up, you think you're breaking a trend. So maybe somebody would put a trade there. But really, it's just a fake out, right? And you can have fake outs to the top or the bottom. But the trend to the upside, right, is, okay, what if this candle comes out, breaks this trend? I want to set a trade, a long position here. And basically what that would say is it's going to break out and then come here, do something like that, and then move to profit. So that's really what a trend-based strategy looks like. Now, again, there's a lot of different ways of determining what is a trend. Just because you put two lines around price action doesn't mean that it's an actual trend. So that can get you in trouble there if you think, oh, well, just the price action is matching up with my two lines, that's a trend. I think there's some more confluence needed there to really determine what would be a trend. So something I've learned that is very interesting is if you zoom out here, you look that we're ranging. But what if we were kind of in a downtrend? What if our price action was here? So when you're in a downtrend, a lot of people do not like to long a downtrend, basically saying, why would I, if price is down, making lower lows, it's constantly going down, why do I want to bet that it's going to go up? Well, multiple reasons that you would, but a lot of people will just say, I only follow the trend. So if this breaks lower, it's going to create new trend. And I want it to go short because I know that overall the price action is going short. And it could be vice versa. If we're looking at price action down here, right? You're following this trend, you're going to bet that it's going up more so than it's going to go down because, you're in a strong buyer's market or sentiment or whatever it may be that adds confluence. So yeah, this is basically, and again, this isn't my strategy and I'm not teaching this strategy. I'm just showing you, kind of what the basic terms are. When people are kind of on YouTube and they're just showing you their trade and saying that they're making a lot of money, they're following some version of strategy and some version of catching a trend or catching certain candle outbreaks. So yeah, Bitcoin. So we're looking at the 15 minutes. So every one of these candlesticks is 15 minutes, right? So that shows price action for 15 minutes. What you can also see is the wicks there. So a lot of questions come up about that, like what's the difference between a wick, which is a skinny line, and then this fatter stick here. So what's going on is price action opens and it closes. Right, and depending on where it opens and where it closes is going to determine the color of your candle, right? So if we're looking at this candle here, we opened at this level right here. And you can tell because it's the next candle, right? So we opened at this level, and then we closed at this level. So since we closed lower than we opened, this is a down red candle, and you can make these any color you want, but this would be a net negative. This would be a red candle. And again, it's because we closed lower than we opened. So the wick here, what that is price action actually went all the way down to this level, but it did not close down here, right? It came back up and it closed here. And you would say, okay, well, if it came down, it came all the way back up, so that is uptrending, right? So yeah, absolutely right. But it didn't come back all the way up to where it opened. So that's why we get the red here. And then conversely, we have our green candle, right? So we opened down here where we closed. A lot of these will match up pretty perfectly. And then we closed up here. So this was a strong buy, right? Buyers, 15 minutes was strong with buyers. And so on and so down the line. So these wicks, price action traveled down there, but it didn't stay. Came back up and it's still in this. So the bigger portions of the candles are where price is opening and closing. So if you're curious about what the wicks mean. So I mean, if you're watching this video, you're going to know that I don't have as many followers as I need to really kind of open it up for questions. But if you have questions, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Leave your questions in the comments. Of course, being so new, you're going to get answered almost immediately because I'm looking at these things daily. But yeah, please feel free to ask a question. Unless you know me and you're just on there to give me a hard time. I wouldn't do that. There's certain people that I'm talking to right now. It's funny, you start these things and your friends and family are obviously they're always supportive, but you kind of don't want them watching because it's a little embarrassing to kind of put yourself out there. So if you're my friend or family and you're watching this, I see you, and thanks for embarrassing me. It's cool. Kind of checking out my other trade here. It's kind of ranging. Let me just show you where I'm at in my trade. Let me go back here to Solana. It's the trade I'm taking. And I am basically in, let's see, I'm basically right here at open. Excuse me. I'm in a short position here. So I want price action to move down, and I think my target profit is 24,650. It's actually not a big move, but we are on a 15-minute time frame. So that's where I want my profit to be, but my stop loss is down here before I hit another limit at 25,175. So you can see that this is the risk reward here is I'm risking 1 to make 0.94. And you say, okay, well that doesn't seem very rewarding. But again, the strategy I'm using is a DCA strategy that allows me to come up. If I hit this, which is not truly a stop loss, but if I hit this area here, I'm actually going to sell more of the contracts. And what that means is that it brings my average price somewhere in this area. So what that looks like if I were to show you, now all of a sudden my trade looks like this, right? So I'm here. If I come up here, I'm going to actually hit and create this right here, create this new trade. And then I can still go down and get out of the trade. Now, again, I don't recommend you guys just going out and doing this or anybody just trying this without knowing specifically what the strategy is, because you can lose a lot of money very quickly. So do not try this, but just sharing you what I'm doing. But so this is what I'll do for the next couple hours of the day. It's going to get around lunchtime, but just kind of for people that are wondering what it looks like, you know, I got up, worked on some other business, got onto the treadmill, did a little bit of workout, and then got up here after the New York Open. I don't like to trade in the first hour of the New York Open just because of the volatility, and you can see some major drops and things when that happens, or major spikes, which kind of just take you out of a good trade. So I usually get into the desk if I'm going to be trading that day sometime after 10:30. And then I'll do kind of what I've been showing you here, just looking at the different charts, looking at what's trending and what's going on, and kind of make up my setups from there. So you can see that as of right now, we're halfway through the day, and I haven't made any money trading today so far. So just kind of waiting for the trades to play out, and that happens. It's just not a get rich quick scheme, but knowing myself, I'll try to make it that way. But I'm going to leave it there. I think that's enough without boring you guys to death. So I will post up some more videos. I'm really trying to post some more shorts. But again, please subscribe. If you've made it this far in the video, why not subscribe and kind of see what I do next? And I think it'd be cool to have you part of our community. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining. And I will see you on the next video.